What was the reason for starting the Khilafat movement? First, humiliating terms of Treaty of Versatile on Khilafs. Second, Lucknow Pact. Third, starting of non-cooperation by the Congress along with the Khilafat movement. How did the First World War help in the growth of nationalist movement in India? War created a new political and economic situation. It led to an increase in expenditure, finance new subscriptions. Second, war led to a price rise and hardship for common people. Third, war led to forced recruitment of people. Fourth, acute shortage of food led to famine and misery. Fifth, Indians began to realize that they were drawn by in war unnecessary. This feeling united Indians against the British. Who was Alluri Sitaram Raju, explained his role in inspiring the rebels with Gandhiji's idea. Alluri Sitaram Raju was a tribal leader in the Gudam Hills of Andhra Pradesh. He started a militant guerrilla movement in early 1920s. The tribal people were encouraged by the British policy, but when the government began force with them to contribute begar for road building, the hill people revolted. Raju inspired the hill people. He talked on the greatness of Mahatma Gandhi. Inspired by Gandhiji non-cooperation movement, he pressured people to wear khadi and give up drinking. But at the same time, he did not believe in non-violence. He thought that India could be liberated only by the use of force. Discussed the role of women in civil disobedience movement. Women practice was in large scale, participated in protest marches, manufactured salt. Third, pickled foreign cloth and liquor shops. Fourth, began to see services to the nation such as their duty. Why did Gandhiji choose salt as the symbol of his civil disobedience movement? Salt is consumed by both the poor and the rich and is one of the most essential items of food everywhere in the world. The British government had the monopoly on the production of salt in India. Third, by imposing a salt tax, the government hit both the rich and the poor, especially the poor. Gandhiji thought it was the most repressive act of the British government and chose to defy it by breaking the salt law. Why growth of nationalism in colonies is linked to an anti-colonial movement. Colonialism affected people's freedom and nationality sentiments surged during the process of struggle against imperial domination. The sense of operation and exploration became a common bond for people from different walks of life, and this resulted in the growth of nationalist ideas. Thus, growth of nationalism in the colonies is linked to anti-colonial movement. How the First World War helped in the growth of national movement in India. During the First World War, the British Army conducted forced recruitment from the rural area in India. To finance the defense expenditure, high custom duties and income tax were imposed also. During 1918 to 1919 and 1920 to 2021, crop failed in many parts of India, thereby resulting in acute food shortage. All this caused extensive anger and opposition against the British colonial rule, and the national movement of India headed towards a stronger, more deficient direction. Why India were outraged by the Rollout Act. The Rollout Act was passed hurriedly through the Imperial Legislative Council despite opposition from Indian members. It gave government autocratic power to repress political activities besides allowing it to certain in political prisoners without a trial for 2 years. The Indians were outraged by this act and it was clearly undemocratic and oppressive and hurt national sentiment and dignity. Why Gandhiji decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement? So, Gandhiji decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement due to various incidents of violence perpetrated by the mass, especially the Chora Chori incident in 1922, where the people clashed with the police, setting a police station on fire. Gandhiji felt that the people were yet not ready for a mass struggle and that Satyagrahi needed to be properly trained for non-violence demonstration. What is meant by the idea of satyagraha? The idea of satyagraha implies a unique method of mass allegation that emphasizes the power of truth and the need to search for truth. It upholds the belief that if the cause is true and the fight is against injustice, then there is no need for physical force or conspiration against the oppressor. Satyagrahi is synonymous with non-violence allegation where an appeal is made to the oppressor's conscience to search for justice. Write a newspaper report on Jallianwala Bagh Mass. Jallianwala Bagh Mass fact on 13 April 1919. General Dyer blocked the exit point from the enclosed ground of Jallianwala Bagh where a large crowd had gathered, some to protest against the British government's repressive measure and others to attend the annual Baisakhi fair. Dyer's objective was to produce a moral effect and terrorize satyagrahis. Hundreds of innocent people, including women and children, were killed on this day in the indiscriminate firing by British soldiers. This led to large-scale strikes, clashes with police, and attack on government building by the enlarged Indian people. Write a newspaper report on Simon Commission. Simon Commission. Fact: it arrived in India in 1928 and faced protest slogan of "Go Back Simon". It was because this body was to suggest constitutional change in India governance, but it did not have any Indian member. The Congress and the Muslim League jointly demonstrated against it. Lord Irwin announced a Virgu dominant status for India to equal the movement, leader, leading to a round table conference in October 1929. Compare the image of Bharat Mata in this chapter with the image of Germania in chapter 1. So the image of Bharat Mata as painted by Abhindranath Tagore shows her best owing learning, food and clothing. She bears aesthetic quality as denoted by the mala held by her. This is similar to the image of Germania as pasted by Philip Bate, where she holds a sword but looks more feminine. The other painting of Bharat Mata is more mainly in its representation. In it she is shown as bearing power and authority as denoted by the lion and elephant beside her. The latter image is more akin to the image of Germania by Lord's Clash, where she wears a sword and shield and look ready to fight. Compare the image. List all the different social groups which joined the non-cooperation movement of 1922. Discuss the Salt March to make clear why it was an effective symbol of resistance against colonialism. The Salt March was an effective symbol of resistance against colonialism because it was done in revolt against the commodity salt used by the rich and the poor alike. The tax on salt and the government monopoly over its production was a severely opposed administrative move. The Salt March was effective also, but Gandhiji met a large number of commoners during the march and he taught them the true meaning of Swaraj and non-violence by peacefully defending a law and making salt against government orders. Gandhiji set forth an example to the whole nation of how the oppression could be confronted in a non-violent manner. This led to civil disobedience movement in 1930. Imagine you are a woman participating in the civil disobedience movement. Explain what the experience meant to your life. A woman participating in the civil disobedience movement fact. Sart marched, foreign clothes boycotted, liquor shop picketed, peaceful satyagrahi attacked, including women and children, brutal representation. Many women went to jail as well as mostly from high caste and rich families saw national service as a sacred duty. Why did political leaders differ sharply over the question of separate electorate? Political leaders differ sharply over the question of separate electorate because of difference in opinion, while those supporting the caste of minority and the Dalit believed that only political empowerment would resolve their social backwardness. Others, like Gandhiji, thought that separate electorate would further slow down the process of their integration into society. Also, it was feared that the system of separate electorate would gradually divide the country into number fragments because every commodity or class would then ask for separate representation.